Hello, everyone. Mike Mosquito, along with my incredible co-host, Maureen.
Nylene.
And we're at the Edgewater Hotel for the Nordic Summer Social. And we're here with our amazing guests that have joined us for a pre-event over here at the Red Room. Jason Rose, Kevin Erdal, how you guys doing today?
Doing fantastic. Doing very well. Excited for a good part.
Glad to have you here. I mean, we're trying
You're
to talk
dressed for the part.
I mean, they did. I mean, I brought somebody.
I just happened to roll into this. It was a complete surprise to Mike because we were like, whoa, we are matching. I love it when you all did not get the memo, and that's on us. We'll do better next time.
Next year, I got my green earrings.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, Amazon.
Introduce yourselves and tell me what's going on in your world today.
Hi, I'm Jason Rose. I'm the CEO of Clearsense, and we're here at Epic UGM at the Nordic Summer Social, and we're here to talk about application decommissioning and archiving and zombies.
I love it. I'm Kevin Erdal. I lead up our advisory services and excited for a good party.
Glad to have you guys join us today. We've been following what you've been doing and what you've been writing about online, and you've got some great content out. I think that you wrote an article about zombie apps, and that has taken off and gone viral, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an older term. It's back from the 90s, and it just it's really a zombie app is where you've got applications that are not being used or they were forgotten about. Maybe it was shadow IT and they left them in the data center.
So let's hear a little bit more about this. What inspired?
Yeah, well, actually, Kevin inspired me.
Oh.
Actually,
Nice.
so Nordic and Clearsense are working together on this partnership to help health system data centers reduce their costs, reduce their cyber risk, and things of that nature. And on some of the projects that we're working on, we identified just a lot of different applications that are just not being used. They were forgotten about. They are costing lots of money for the health systems. And in this time with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, you need every dollar you can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally millions or tens of millions of dollars with health systems that are really termed zombie apps. And those are applications that shadow IT or other mergers, acquisitions just forgot about, and they're draining the system. So it's a big challenge for health systems. So I wrote this article in Forbes, and it's really just taken off in terms of attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that as you talk about zombie apps, and some people call it app rationalization, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not exactly app rationalization. Tell me the difference between that so people don't get confused.
That's a great question. So app rationalization is really the art of saying, these are the applications that if you were to rationalize, you don't need anymore because of a merger and acquisition, you're consolidating to Epic. We've heard of that company before.
Yeah.
Or Workday, those kinds of large consolidations of applications. That's where you're on paper writing down, we don't need these apps. We want to focus on these apps. And there's years and a roadmap to say we're going to get there. But what happens with those art ideas and that's on paper, a lot of times you just put that on the desk and they don't actually ever happen or happen all the way. The archiving aspect is to take that data from those sources that you no longer need, and you put them into a system. In the sense of Clearsense would be into our high trust certified AWS platform. And then you can revitalize that data for other use cases so that the data that's really important still can be accessible within Epic, for example, or other different types of UIs. And you also retain your regulatory requirements and things like that. But that's more active archiving versus AppRat. AppRat is more what I would say Nordic is the expert in.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, with a lot of implementations or mergers and acquisitions over time, people are saying, okay, we're going to this one system. We have 100 left over. But to Jason's point, there's an entire enterprise portfolio that we have to pay attention to and look for opportunities where maybe we have some redundancies and start to create a program around it as well to manage that net new technology coming.
That's fascinating. And as you're speaking, you know what came to my mind? My closet. But it's very much like that, right?
Yeah.
I think that we tend to wear about 20% of what is actually in our closet. I have to bring it back to shoes. When we do that, though, it's taking up space. But the sad part is unlike just what's sitting in your closet, those clothes aren't still costing you money.
Right.
It's not like you keep paying for them over and over again.
It's almost like you're leasing those clothes. and you forgot about them, and they're
Right.
sitting there in the attic, and they keep costing you money. And oh, by the way, they're a fire hazard too, because
Yeah.
you might set a blaze, and then now you're in big trouble.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now I'm terrified. And I'm going to clean my closet. There's like, how many percentages would you say of apps that are out there that people aren't utilizing that should probably go away? And then why aren't they just getting rid of them?
So Gartner says it's 20 to 30% of health systems data center
That's a lot.
is redundant and
right.
unnecessary.
Yeah.
And so you take 20, 30% of the entire portfolio of applications that you don't need any longer, and you think about the costs and the maintenance of
Yes.
licensing, maintenance fees, infrastructure costs, personnel costs. So right now, health systems with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, there's $1 trillion of funding that just left or is about to leave in the next year and a half for Medicaid and ACA dollars. And you've got millions or tens of millions of dollars sitting there right underneath your nose that's also creating more cyber risk as well. And so 20, 30% of the app wrap portfolio, we've seen much larger than that, by the way, with certain health systems that have done a lot of M&A. And so the opportunity to really condense your portfolio and save costs is just magnitudes larger than most people realize. It is a very, very large problem that's been unnoticed.
Oh, for sure.
And so I'm shamelessly, I'll just say,
Yeah.
Talk to them. They want to hear it.
zombies to get your attention. Because otherwise, if I say application rationalization or decommissioning,
Glazed
you know,
over.
it's like, oh, it's on AI. So I'm trying to get your attention. So I say zombies. And they're like, oh, wow, zombies. I didn't know about that. Tell me more. So, and so it's
Genius.
really, really big problem.
Yes. Yes. It really is a big problem.
Talk about shadow IT and what's happening when you got shadow IT in house, and what do CIOs need to be worried about when we talk about the zombie apps coming on board and decommissioning. What should CIOs be focused on?
Yeah, shadow IT is a problem in any company where you have you've got smart people, sometimes physician executives who've got this great idea and they built this great database or this great EHR back
Absolutely.
in the 2000s, and they still kind of use it. Maybe there's 5 users on it. Maybe there's no one on it because he's retired since then, and it's still sitting there.
Mhm.
And so that shadow IT is unnoticed by the larger IT organization. It's not in their budget necessarily, or could be, could not be. It's sucking up infrastructure costs. It's creating these cyber vulnerabilities that people aren't necessarily tracking. Sometimes these shadow IT projects can get quite large when you think about mergers, acquisitions, because they're, like I said earlier,
Yeah.
you did an application rationalization process, you put that thing on the shelf, and you never got to the other apps, and maybe 50,000, 100,000, couple $100,000. Those add up when you have dozens and dozens of those, and becomes millions and millions of dollars.
And oftentimes we're not looking at technology that we want to replace or displace as we're bringing in that new tech.
Yeah.
So that's where some of this quote really comes from, to say, oh, Dr. Jones says we really need a net new tool to help with this efficiency. We all agree collectively as an industry, right?
Right.
But did we look at the 5 or 6 applications, or maybe just one, that we could retire as part of the implementation? So I think that's a key piece of the puzzle.
So Kevin, hold on a second. I have a question.
Get it to him.
How did Nordic and Clearsense get together on this? Were you going to ask that?
Yes,
That was my question.
Professional services firm, right, for Nordic, and we're looking for the right technology platform to be able to partner with, not just on the archival aspect, but also on the go forward next 3-year road mapping activity as well.
Excellent.
And Clearsense provides that, and also the scale, right? So there's a lot of organizations out there that are using some competing products, but can't scale the way in which Clearsense can. So that's where the synergy really made a lot of sense. We can bring some program management to the table. We can help with the change management aspect and have a platform that we can depend on as part of a collective project team.
Cool. Nice.
Very well said.
That's nice.
Yeah, the Nordic from our side, Nordic is literally best in class for the types of services that we're talking about. So from a SaaS organization like Clearsense, working with a company like Nordic that can go to organizations, prioritize, align the leadership within health systems, identify these are all the applications that we're going to stack in to say we're going to take these out. We can accelerate the value proposition of cost reduction.
Oh.
So if you consider us more of the modernized technology that's not just going there for a project and going away after the Epic install or after a merger acquisition. We're looking at the entire inventory and working with a company like Nordic that can help us do the assessment. We see the entire armamentarium of applications that are available that you can consolidate. We can condense those roadmaps from a few years to 1 or 2 years, and it saves just massive amounts of cost.
What type of resistance have you seen in the marketplace to,
Oh, yeah.
to admitting this change needs to happen?
Everybody loves it.
Change is
my
hard,
cheese.
right?
Yeah,
Change is hard in
right.
healthcare more than anywhere else. And I think when you start to say who's going to move my cheese, it can be very complicated. But that's where if you bring in the right nurses and you bring in some of the revenue cycle experts to say, hey, we're going to sunset these 20 applications or these 500 applications, whatever it ends up being. Here's what we're going to move you to. Here's the training plan associated to the collective program and approach it that way. We've been able to overcome some of that resistance, if you will. But change is hard. We've all seen it.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're implementing an EHR, an ERP system, or just a scheduling app, right? There's key components that have to be thought.
And I've known about Nordic's advisory services for a very long time. You guys are, again, best in class at what you do over there. So your change management protocols that you put into place before we get here are vital to that who moved my cheese.
Yep.
This is a nurse right here, I can tell you.
Yeah, we don't like our cheese moved. Yeah.
Right?
Nor should you, right?
No,
You focus it on the
really-
patient.
Right. I think at the end of the day, we all want workflows that are conducive to the people that are doing the work. And that is so impactful. So being able to partner together and then at the same time, get rid of the weight that isn't helping anybody, right? Okay. So here's my question. You've written this amazing paper on zombie apps. Is there going to be a part 2 to this?
Part 2.
Part 2. I almost went there.
Apocalypse. I've already written it. I'm about to submit it to Forbes. Hopefully in a few weeks we'll get that published.
Very nice.
It really
Awesome.
describes the ROI story. So I
Yeah.
got a lot of great feedback on the first article that I wrote. And the second one is really about how much does this cost in terms of the drain on the system.
Okay.
And here's a really couple interesting facts that I've uncovered. And this is an amazing fact. So the average not-for-profit health system, their average not-for-profit health system's operating margin is 4.4%.
Mhm.
So 4.4%, call 4%. So for every $1 million of operational expense that you take permanently out of the system through things like what we're talking about, our active archiving, every $1 million is worth $25 million of revenue that you don't have to go find.
Mhm.
So you think about the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, there's $1 trillion that has just left the health system space, $1 trillion.
Yeah.
And so we have a customer right now where we identified $16.6 million of cost takeout
Wow.
that we can do in 1 year, 16.6 million. And that is going to take out that's going to provide them as if they got $400 million of revenue every year moving forward.
Wow.
400 million for 16.6 million of waste. And so you go to
Wow.
any health system and you say, hey, I can save you 2 to 3 million. I can save you 10, $25 million.
Mhm.
You're talking hundreds of millions of dollars and in some cases, billions.
Yeah.
And I'm not exaggerating. It's just math.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And
it's great to hear that you've got that figured out
Right.
beyond the Big Beautiful Bill because it's coming, right? These institutions are going to take this hit whether they want to or not. So they've got a plan now. I mean, we talk to folks all the time on the show that are trying to plan for this pending doom of not having money, having reimbursement in place. I think that as we look at what you have sitting resident in front of you, as you said, Maureen, nobody wants their cheese moved. You got a plan for that.
But the cheese has been moved.
It's been moved, right?
Not.
Cheese
The
has been moved. So you got to figure out how you're going to eat tomorrow because that
Right.
cheese is not there anymore after today.
That's right.
And I think that's important to talk about what you're both doing together. You partnered up to bring these solutions to the marketplace and save money, real dollars, so that we can plan for tomorrow.
Yeah, save dollars, but then take that data and so instead of sticking that data into, some Iron Mountain digital, landscape that you need a tape backup drive to go extract the data. This is more about active archiving. Use the data available, put it into Epic. Users don't even realize they're leaving Epic, going to our platform. Put it to different UIs that are accessible, but then also revitalize that data for other use cases like AI, like validation of desk testing and training, so that you look at the entire spectrum of data available. And you now have the legacy data as well as you have the active data. And so there's a lot of innovation available too. This is just step one to take the costs out, fund innovation. And everyone wants to skip the first step of how do you pay for all these things.
Yep.
And because of the cost takeout, the funding takeout, I should say, with the legislation, you really need to find ways to pay for these things.
Fun part is planning for the future, right? I think when you start talking about how we're going to use all this data we've archived and some of the Gen 2 kind of use cases around AI that we might not even be thinking about right now, we can be ready for that when it comes next year, the year after that. But we've also taken a whole lot of costs out of the collective organization while we get to that.
The cool thing about our partnership, one of the best things about this is the way we partner is we fund every phase. So we start with the initial funding. It's an ROI within weeks or months. And then that pays for the next phase, pays for the next phase, pays for the innovation. It's just a really well-oiled machine.
I love that. Self-perpetuating funding, which is just such a rarity in healthcare. And I just want to underscore again, because this point around the cyber risk has to be driven home, that those apps that are sitting out there, that data is a risk to you if you aren't properly maintaining it or you aren't utilizing it in a way that's truly effective. So when you think about it, it's almost like not just who moved my cheese, but that cheese could give you food poisoning.
Yeah. That old pair of shoes that you haven't worn in 3 years, you're probably not paying attention to. Same thing for those legacy apps, right? We acquired it 5, 6, 7
All
years
those Jimmy
ago.
shoes.
We're not doing anything with it. You can't ignore it because to your point, that is where the greatest risk is right now.
And it's scary.
It's very scary. Dozens of apps that nobody's defending properly in many cases. That can be the easiest entry point for some of the bad actors.
Yeah.
67% of health systems in 2023 had a successful ransom attack on them.
Wow.
2/3 of all health systems had not a ransom attack, a successful one on them. And so this is a absolute certainty. You're going to get attacked and most likely going to be successful. And these zombie apps are actually the most vulnerable because people forgot about them. They don't realize they're there because it's shadow IT, lots of reasons. It's a huge, huge problem.
Wow.
Well, Jason, Kevin, thank you very much for joining us today. We've enjoyed having you on the show. We've enjoyed having you. We're going to have fun tonight. This is just the beginning. You're the appetizers to what's coming next. We got a long night ahead of us.
Yes, we do.
We hope you're here at Summer Social with Nordic and all of their partners like Clearsense this year at UGM 2025. Again, if you've got a problem with your applications or you don't know if you have a problem, you've got Clearsense and Nordic who are experts in this space. That's what our show's about, solving problems. And if we don't see you here at the party, we'll see you soon online. Keep liking and subscribing and keep buzzing. And we'll see you soon.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast short with Nordic and Clearsense, but it's not over. On Veterans Day, November 11th, Nordic and Clearsense are proud to host an exclusive dinner and songwriter showcase during the Keimfall Forum in San Antonio. This unforgettable evening will feature and benefit Operation Song, a nonprofit that helps veterans and their families transform their stories into songs to bring healing, connection, and hope. All proceeds will go directly to Operation Song, amplifying their mission and impact. If you would like more information, reach out to Gwen Cantarera at NordicGlobal.com or contact us here at The Buzz.